Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the season premiere of Pretty Little Liars, Season 5, Episode 1, Escape from New York. Oh my god, guys, this episode was just, wow, it was amazing. I could not get over it, and I was really looking forward to this episode, believe it or not, because the finale was amazing, and I'll say this right now, bringing back Allie is one of the best decisions this show has just made, because by bringing back Allie, they've made the show a lot more interesting now, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where the show goes from here, because I think it's going to get really, really interesting now, just because of the way this episode, the way this episode was constructed. It was really, really interesting, in my opinion. I really, overall, really, really enjoyed this episode. You know, this is what Pretty Little Liars needs to be, definitely. It was intense, it was, it was very intense. Lots of tension throughout the whole thing. This is what the show needs to be. If we're gonna have, Pretty Little Liars, this is what it needs to be. So, let's just get this episode because it was overall amazing and I loved it. So, remember how in the end of the at the end of the finale, Ezra was shot? Well, basically, he is unconscious. He's rushed to the emergency room, and Allison, Emily, Aria, Emily, Aria, Spencer, and Hannah, they're standing on the streets of New York, and Hannah calls police and tells them that she witnessed the crime and she thinks Ezra may still be in danger, and they should send an officer to the hospital to guard him. So, the Liars and Allie have a plan to flush out A. The way they're going to do this, though, is that they have to go in different directions. So, basically, they have to split up. Spencer, Emily, and Hannah are going to act as decoys, and Aria and Allison are going to head in the opposite direction with a gun. So, they kind of have their own little plan here, which is kind of cool. And I like the way this episode started, because right away it was, really intense. So, Spencer, Hannah, and Emily, they arrive at the hospital, and they see someone walking down the hallway in a black hoodie, which obviously means that could be A, which obviously is not a good thing at all. Now, when I heard this group was going to get split up, I automatically thought, that is not a good idea, this is not going to work out well in the end, because since whenever they split up, it's never good. Something bad always happens whenever they split up, and definitely this was no exception. Basically, though, they sit down in the waiting room, and Allison and Aria arrive in another door. They head to the nurse's station and say they're here to see Ezra, and someone calls on the loudspeaker, Allison De Laurentiis, report the emergency room. And Allison walks outside, and the person in the black hoodie follows her. And literally, I'm just thinking, Allison, he's right there, and she doesn't realize that. The Liars sneak out, they follow the person in the hoodie. Allison's wandering around the dark street outside of the hospital looking for A. She comes face to face to the person in the hoodie, runs to the nearby park, tries to hide in the bushes, and A sneaks up behind, whispers, "Wanna play?" and whispers, "Wanna play?" I mean, that's really creepy, actually. I like that this episode was so creepy. I like that because, you know what? Ever since they've introduced Allison on the show's become a lot more interesting, and I just think her character just got a lot more, her character's very interesting, and she's by far the best character on the show, and I like that they kind of focused on her in this episode. So, the Liars arrive, and they are sure they have A trapped. However, unbeknownst to them, there are literally 20 A's surrounding them, because, Allison sees this A, and he's like, how do you know I'm not A? How do you know I'm not A? And there's, literally 20 of them. So, the New York City police show up, and all of the A members disperse. So, Holbrooke then receives a phone call from New York City police and learns that Ezra has been shot in New York. And Aria stays at the hospital with Ezra, and Allison takes Hannah, Emily, and Spencer to an empty theater because she thinks that they're not safe in the hospital, obviously, and the only place they could be safe is that empty theater. She then has a flashback, and this was really cool. We find out that this theater is actually where she and Ezra, when they used to date, this is where he brought her there once, and in the flashback, she learned that Ezra was a rich boy pretending to be a poor boy. They raid the concession stand, and basically a rich boy pretending to be a poor boy. So that was really interesting, actually. So then what ends up happening is basically they race to a concession stand. They raid the concession stand, and Allison excuses herself to go make a phone call, and Hannah follows her, trying to listen to her conversation. And basically, Shauna then arrives at the hospital, at the hospital. Basically, she arrives at the hospital. She says that Allison sent her there to make sure Aria is okay. And Aria is less than thrilled to see her. Obviously, she doesn't trust Shauna, so it's not good that Shauna is there, because she just doesn't trust Shauna. So, obviously, Shauna being there is not good, because she doesn't trust her, obviously. So yeah, that was a pretty big thing, Shauna being there. I definitely did not trust Shauna. Sorry, guys, I'm just looking up something, for the recap in case I forgot something. Basically, though, what ends up happening is, Shauna offers to get her a drink, but she declines, and Aria begins to drift off, and Shauna covers her up with her coat. So that's a pretty big thing there. I was just like, wow. I mean, that was kind of harsh, but, yeah, that was surprising. I didn't expect that to happen. What then ends up happening, though, is that the girls all end up passing out in the theater. Cece, sneaks inside to talk to Allison. They head to a diner and meet with Noelle, and Cece needs their help. And they give her a new passport and plane ticket, and Cece thanks her, and Allison says, you do the same for me, and Cece slips out into the night. So, that was really interesting. So yeah, that was pretty big, actually. I thought that was a pretty big thing. So then what ends up happening is that the Aria then wakes up in the waiting room, and Shauna is MIA. She doesn't know what's going on here, and the nurses tell her that Ezra's in recovery. We don't really know how Ezra's doing. She hasn't really gotten word on Ezra, and we can see she cares so much about Ezra. That's what I like about this episode, is that you see that she cares so much about Ezra, and that Ezra's like one of her main top priorities. She has to make sure Ezra's okay. And the nurses tell her that Ezra's in recovery. She rushes into his room and finds Shauna standing over Ezra. Basically it's very interesting because, she sees Shauna there. She doesn't know why Shauna's there. But he wakes up and begins gasping for air. He whispered something into Aria's ear. We don't know what he said. And I was literally like, I wish we knew what he said, because it was annoying that we didn't hear what he said. But basically, that was kind of surprising that happened. And basically, he wakes up, and Aria and Shauna rush out and call for help, and doctors rush him because his heart rate just starts going very, very fast. So, we're thinking, did Shauna do something possibly to Ezra? I don't know, because after this we don't see, that's a pretty big thing there. So basically, then what ends up happening is that Emily's awake, and when Allison tries to sneak back to the theater, Allison begs her not to tell the others and says there is something that she doesn't need to know. So Allison takes Emily and explains to her that Cece was never Redcoat, and Cece was never Redcoat. She saved them in Rosewood, and A put her in the coffin, and Allison had her wear the redcoat to distract A, and Allison says that Cece killed Wilden to save her. So that's really huge. We just found out some really big things here. One, we found out who just killed Wilden. Two, we found out that she was never Redcoat and that she's actually an ally of them. She was all trying to help Allie. So that's pretty big, because all this time we thought, someone killed Detective Wilden. It was A, but it turned out it was Cece because she was trying to distract A. That's very interesting, and I thought that was a very good reveal, and I was very surprised with that. I didn't expect that to happen at all, but that was definitely very well done. I really enjoyed that reveal a lot. Very good reveal overall. Then what ends up happening is at the hospital, then what ends up happening is that the girls are trying to talk to Aria on the phone, but the call keeps dropping. Allison then answers the theater's phone again, but instead it's Detective Holbrooke. He figured that they were at the Fitzgerald Theater, and Allison panics and hangs up the phone. Why is she panicking? I don't know. I thought that Detective Holbrooke was, trying to help them with this whole investigation thing. And I don't know why she's panicking all of a sudden, but literally, Allie is just she's panicking. She doesn't say anything. It's like, hello, Allison? And, she doesn't say anything. So I don't know why she didn't say anything, but clearly there's something that she does not want them to know. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty interesting. So then we see that Ezra is in pretty stable condition. He's gonna be okay, but Aria slips back to his room, holds his hand, and he whispers to her, A is Shauna. And Aria runs out of the room, looks for Shauna, but she is gone. Do we know that A is Shauna, though? I don't know, because the whole thing was that they knew that Ezra was connected to Shauna, was connected to A in some way, so they think A is Shauna. So the liars decide they need to get out of the theater right now, and as they are running through the theater, Shauna emerges. There's Shauna with a gun. Literally, she's right there with a gun, and she's like crazy. She then confesses that she already tried to kill them all at the lodge, but the liars got out. Shauna announces she's getting revenge for Jenna because she was in love with Jenna. That's really big, actually. I didn't expect that to ever happen, but she said she was in love with Jenna, and, it looks like she's about to, shoot them or whatever, but before that happens, guess what happens? I was so surprised this happened. This was so surprising, and this just made the episode so much better. The episode was already awesome, because it was really intense throughout the whole thing, and I really loved it, but this is where it just got awesome. Aria sneaks into the theater, grabs a gun, grabs a shotgun, and shoots Shauna. Oh my god, that was awesome. And Emily climbs down from the floor, checks Shauna's pulse, and announces that she's dead. And Aria is in shock because she just killed somebody, obviously. And Spencer comes to her and reassures her that she did what she had to do. The liars and Allison all think that it's officially over and A is dead. Spencer calls someone and says there has been an accident, and Spencer calls someone and says there has been an accident. Obviously, it's not the end of it. And a few moments later, that the police arrive at the theater and find Shauna dead on the floor. So, is that whole A thing done? That's the question. Is A actually done? We really don't know, but the biggest thing is, now they've killed somebody. They killed somebody for 5 seasons. 5 seasons. This is the very first time they've ever killed somebody, which is huge, because now they could have Detective Holbrooke on their back, and if he finds this out, that's not going to be good in the end, and it's going to get really, really interesting. I think it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes, and that was just very, very surprising. I didn't expect that to happen at all, and I don't think the whole A thing is over. I do think there's more with A. We'll have to see what happens there, but definitely very, very interesting stuff, and I overall really did enjoy it. Really, really great. I really love the main plot. I thought it was very intense, and I really enjoyed the main plot. I thought it was very, very strong. So also we saw that Cece is pretending to be someone else. She has black hair. She pretended to be this other girl with this fake accent. I don't remember what her name was, but wondering what's going to happen there. We'll have to see. Let's get to the subplot. The subplot within this episode is very interesting. Basically, the subplot focused on everyone finding out that Allison's alive. We see Spencer's mom and Melissa. They're trying to make sense of Spencer missing, because basically they're all missing at this point. And they're shocked that Allison is still alive. And Melissa blames Allison's return for Spencer's pill popping and erratic behavior lately. And Melissa breaks down and cries and wants to know whose body's in the grave. And she tells her mom there's something she needs to know. And before she can reveal what it is, the doorbell rings. And that was really annoying. So Detective Holbrooke arrives and says that Cece Drake escaped from custody from the police, and she knows that Allison is alive, and he thinks she knows where the girls are. So, Mona is watching the news at the cafe, sees a press alert that Emily, Hannah, Spencer, and Aria are missing, and are thought to be in Philadelphia with Allison, and someone in a red coat arrives, and Mona tells them this changes everything. And that's really big, because now we know that Mona's alive, which, we know that Mona's alive, we also know that Mona is still crazy, of course, so this obviously is not a good thing. So Mona is, with Lucas, and she receives a phone call and learns that the liars and Allison are in New York, not Philadelphia. They lied, of course. And she reassures Lucas that there are more members of the team coming. So Melissa finds her dad drinking in the kitchen, and she tells him that she wants to tell Holbrooke the truth, and when Spencer finds out, she will have a reason to come home. Her dad glares at her and says that her mom can never know what she told him. But what did she tell him? We don't know what she told him, because they didn't say after that. So I like that they are keeping suspense, because I think it makes the show, it adds to the show. I do think it adds to the show, and it's going to make the show very interesting if they do that. So definitely that was a really big reveal, and I really enjoyed that overall. So then what ends up happening is, this is very, very interesting. Mona has called a meeting full of people from Rosewood that Allison has made fun of when she was alive. And Paige and Lucas are at the meeting. Mona wants them to all join forces and stop Allison now that she's alive. And Melissa barges into the meeting and says they don't have much time. I don't know what that's about, though. But here's the thing. Mona, you have no reason to be upset at Allison. She has no reason to be upset at her because of the simple fact that Allison, the thing is, she has no reason to be upset at Allison. Now, why does she have no reason? Because Allison gave her that makeover. She's talking about how, she was a nerdy kid and everything, but Allison gave you the makeover, so you should have no reason to be upset with her. It's completely ridiculous that Mona is upset with her, and she has no reason to be upset with her, so, it's just like, you have no reason to be upset with her. It's pointless that she's upset with her, and I think it's really stupid that she's upset with her. I find it really, really pointless that she's upset with her. But this episode was nevertheless amazing. I loved it. I thought there was so much great stuff in it. This is the kind of show we need from Pretty Little Liars. This kind of show, a show that's very, very intense, a show that has high amounts of intensity. Every episode, this episode was so, so amazing and had very high levels of intensity, especially the scene with Allie. I like we're focusing a lot more on Allie, and I don't think A is done. I don't think that what was her name? Oh god, I just forgot her name. Oh my god. Shauna was A. I don't think that she actually is A. I think it was another trick sort of thing. Again, I don't think Ezra's A, but of course, you never know. Maybe she could be. I don't really know. But, overall, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see what happens. Definitely it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens there. I'm looking forward to the next episode, definitely. It's going to be very, very interesting. There's a lot of stuff I really enjoyed about this episode, a lot of really great stuff. And one of the things that I definitely really enjoyed about this season, I'm really going to enjoy about the season is, of course, now we have Allie, so it's made the show a lot more interesting now. And there are a couple things I do still want to know. One, let's talk about the poster. So the poster is all masked, and you guys know that from the thumbnail, but the poster is all masked, and Allie's mask is cracked. So does that mean that something bad's going to happen to Allie? I don't know. We'll have to see. But, it's very, very interesting there. And there's still a lot of questions I have. One, what is going to happen now that the police know, now that Aria has killed someone? Obviously, the police are going to find out about this. It's not going to be good for them in the end, and I think it's really awesome that now they've killed someone. They're now killers. Aria's now a killer, and it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. I just think it's going to get a lot more interesting, and it already has gotten interesting, but it's going to get even more interesting now, and that's really, really cool, actually, because it's going in a really cool direction. As far as Ezra, I don't know what to think of that. Apparently Ezra wants to get, Spencer was talking to Aria and saying that Ezra wants to get back together with, wants to win Aria back. So do you think he's going to be able to win Aria back? I really don't know. If I was Aria personally, no way am I going to get back with Ezra, because Ezra lied to her completely. Even though he's not A, she's still not thrilled with him. Even though he's in dire situations right now, she's not thrilled with him. Also, the big thing is, why does Allie not want to talk to Detective Holbrooke? I don't really know why. What's going to happen there? Does Mona have a reason to be upset with Allie? I don't think she has any reason to be upset with her. I don't see one reason she has to be upset with her. It doesn't make any sense to me as to why Mona should be upset with her. As far as Cece, do you think that Cece could be possibly, Cece's working for Allie, obviously, so what is Cece going to do with this new new sort of persona? I don't think the A thing is over. I think that they mistakenly accused Shauna, and that's what's going on here. Again, I really love the Allie stuff in this episode. I really love the Allie flashbacks in this episode. I like that we focus a lot more on Allie in this episode. It's made the show a lot more interesting, and I just really, really love that about this episode. I thought it was really, really well done. So yeah, overall, I love this episode. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. Alright, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. Do you like the different, I feel like it's a much more intense show now that Allie's on the show, because it's just made things a lot more interesting. But that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next review, which will be for the pilot of Chasing Life. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.